Hi all, and welcome to this week's racing-based preview. Unfortunately, no feature racing this Saturday, but we've still got plenty of good races to pick and choose from at Flemington, Canterbury and Morphettville. So joining me as usual, I've got Rick Chapman on the other line. Rick, how are you today, mate?
Yeah, very good. The rain has stopped in Sydney, and the forecast is sunny days for the next 4 or 5 days. So tracks just might start to dry out.
Okay, I just looked at the weather report for Canterbury. They've said maybe a bit of rain around tomorrow for Canterbury area. So hopefully not too much. And then, as you said, it does dry out a bit better than the heavy 90s at the moment.
Yeah, well, Friday is expected to be 27 in Sydney. So that's going to be a very drying day. And you'd hope that the winds would come up Friday night, and Saturday is expected to be windy with no rain, so I'm hopeful. And of course, I've got my filly engaged out in the Central West at Warren on Tuesday, and it's sunshine from, let me look at this, from Saturday afternoon right through to Wednesday. So fingers crossed. The Central West has needed so much rain, and they've got it. But all the tracks are wet right now out there.
All right, well, let's get on to this week's racing, Rick. As I said, no features, so we'll just stick with some best bets this weekend. But I think before we do, Rick, just a bit of news for some of our viewers. I spoke to Chris Lees this morning. He's got a horse called Singing, who's come from the Andreas Waller stable. Now, the interesting thing with this horse is after the Melbourne Cup, the Protectionist won, Andreas Waller said that it was more of a trial. They were bringing Protectionist out to see how he'd go because they had a better horse at home. Now, that better horse he was referring to at the time was Singing. He's had some injury. He's been plagued with injury since. He's been out in Australia since late last year. Chris Lees has given him a couple of preparations without racing him. So he's just been doing some work down at their property. Nothing's been public. So I spoke with Chris this morning. He said the horse is sound. He's going well. They're going to try him over 1,000, but decided not to. It'd just be pointless. So he's first up over 1,900. They're going to space his runs a month apart, head towards possibly the Newcastle Cup in a couple of months. And depending on how things go, maybe Caulfield Cup, Melbourne Cup. So I think Singing is one to keep an eye on this Saturday.
Well, it's a big ask. Top weight on what'll be a wet track, although if he's had injury issues that might suit him. 60 kilos, 1,900 metres first go in a race where there's going to be pace. Yeah, it'd be very interesting. On class he should win easily, but the fact he hasn't started for so long and he's 1,900 first up, and Chris Lees has not had, to be fair, much success with these Australian bloodstock horses. But I hope that he's a superstar and he just blows them away. But I think Pindan Pearl, in receipt of 6 kilos and in great form, might have his measure. But yeah, can't wait to watch that race.
Yeah, me too. So ideally he'll be around midfield, and he's expecting a decent run. And I think the difference with this one is they've let him acclimatise without putting him under race day pressure. So. And Chris is planning on giving him that European style of preparation as opposed to the Australian style. So time will tell if it works. But I'll have the full article up on racingbase.com after anyway, so anyone can see Chris's thoughts. And also I spoke with Gabby Engelbrecht this morning about Canny Essen, and geez, Gabby's excited to get this one back to the track on Saturday. And she was as bullish as she was happy, and is expecting a big run from Canny Essen. So that story will also be up on racingbase.com later.
Very good. And for the breeding types, I'm going to get a story up on Schnitzel in view of a 40-year-old record for siring 2-year-olds. Very interesting reading. So plenty to look forward to for those who have an insatiable thirst for thoroughbred news. Incidentally, Singing, for those interested in his first up record, he's had 4 starts first up in his life for 2 wins in a second. So being fresh might not be such a bad thing.
That's right. And Gabby's Canny Essen's undefeated in 2 first up runs. So any of his trial, you would have seen his trial last start, Rick. It was sensational.
Yeah, there's a tough little field he's up against though on Saturday at Canterbury. Very interesting race. So they've drawn the pole. He should get a good run, but Art Nouveau's in fine form, and the Queensland horse will go straight to the front. ensuring a very fast pace. But yeah, you'd like to see Kenny Essence do well.
Yeah, I think he will. All right, well, let's get on with the best. Rick, what have you got picked out for us?
Well, oddly enough, I don't shop too much in Melbourne, but I think the best bet of the day is probably in Melbourne on Picalo. I think given the way the race will be run, I don't necessarily think he's the best horse in the field, but given the way the race will be run, I think he just lobs in front with absolutely no pressure, and that'll allow him to kick away on the bend down the Flemington straight, which should be in fairly good shape, and he might be too strong, too nippy. So on Picalo in Melbourne is my best. And in my home on my home track here in Sydney, I'd love to see my mate Mark Noonan win his very first race with Lanciato. It'll go pretty close, but it's a tough field. Mountain Nebo likes to sting out of the ground, but he's got a lot of weight in the sprint race. So that makes it hard to have a big go at him. The 2-year-old race is an outstanding race. It's like 38 chances in it. I think Decorated Soldier might win it. But my best in Sydney would be an out-of-town horse, actually, coming in here to try and take them all on. And that would be Ever So Natural for Cliffy Bashford, who will have 2 runners at the meeting, both with big chances. But I think Ever So Natural might be a bona fide Saturday horse, and he might finish brilliantly over the top of those with Brenton Abdullah in the saddle, and he's in race 6. So my 2 would be Ever So Natural in Sydney, but my best bet of the day will be in Melbourne at Flemington on Picalo.
Okay, well, that's probably where I'm headed for my best as well, Rick, to Flemington. The opening event, Kieran Maher's got a nice one there called Lock Oya. Now, I black booked this one from the trials a couple of weeks ago. Julie saluted Warrnambool on a heavy track. One with these 2.5 lengths. Some nice odds to be taking about this horse in the opening event. And one other, I think the race that I'm keenest to watch is race 8. You got Spread Eagled, who was just cut out of it last time. It was a smart ride on Turbo Street that got the prize, and Spread Eagle just got caught on the inside, lost all momentum, and just couldn't build again at Moonee Valley. So he dropped 6 kilos and looks really well weighted in this, as does the Tassie galloper, Geraldry Letter. He was in one of the series finals last start, carrying a big weight, dropped 6 kilos here, and he looks ready to peak and run a massive race. So hard to split the two. I'm probably leaning towards Geraldry Letter because his record on soft tracks isn't great. On a good track, he's had, I think, 5 starts for 4 wins and a third, or it might even be 1 extra. So he gets that good track on Saturday. As I said, that big weight drop and seemingly drop in class too. So I'm keen on that one. And just one more for Morphettville. I think there's a good one in race 7, Sandhill Warrior. This horse is going around at $16. I seen him run at Gawler last week. He was first up, needed the run. He lost a plate during the run and still ran 3rd. But second up, he has a fantastic record. He went up to a cup race carrying a massive weight second up last campaign and finished just a length off the pace. So interesting to see them back him up a week later here. But at $16, I'm all over it each way.
Yeah, very good. I think Melbourne, the competition within the competition, the battle between Dwayne Dunn and Craig Williams is also worth watching too, because they are really riding. They are men with a purpose and both riding really strongly at the moment.
Yeah, it's a cracking competition. It's going to go down to the wire for sure.
I think there's 1 win between them at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, that's our best for the week. Hopefully we can steer into some winners. I had a massive day last Saturday, so that was pretty good. Let's just hope we can back it up.
Always the hope.
All right, best of luck to everyone on Saturday, and hope you'll back a winner.
Yeah, me too. Good luck, everyone. Be safe.